Okay, we're learning today about a very important topic, and the topic is called going to an auction, Chinese auction. When a person goes to Chinese auction, I get these questions constantly: can they use maaser money to buy a ticket? The answer is Tsedaka you can give from maaser, and therefore, since Chinese auction is for Tsedaka, you go to your school, your yeshiva, some kind of different auction for something that's very important, for a certain cause, that it's a Tzedakah cause. So you're allowed to use the money that you have put aside for Maaser. That's not the question, that's fine. But the question is, let's say that you got the ticket that was the winner. So now you're winning some kind of a closet, some kind of a double trip to Israel.
Split the pot.
Yes. So now the question is, are you allowed to split the pot? You're allowed to take that money. Why should that be a problem? You won the ticket. What should be the problem? The problem is that the money you're using is actually not your money. You're using tzedakah money. Maaser money that's put aside, it's not your money. So to give you a little bit of a demonstration to that, let's say I would have over here in the Pushka in the shul a certain amount of money. And I would want, as a gizbar, I would be the gizbar, I can control the money over here, and I think that it's the correct thing. The shul does a certain auction. I'm going to buy a certain amount of tickets for the purpose of the shul. And now, the ticket got the winning number. So now, I want to claim the prize. Can I take the prize for myself? Of course not. How can I take the prize for myself? It's not my money. I use the shul's money. So if I use the shul money to win something at the auction, either the shul gets it, or if it's the same shul that I put the money for, so nobody gets it. But there's one thing that's for sure: I'm not getting it. I'm just the one that's taking the money from the pushka and putting it here. I'm just changing it from one purpose to another purpose. But it's not my money that I can claim a prize in any way. That's pretty simple, right? So therefore, over here, the question would be, when I go to that Chinese auction and I want to use maaser money, since that maaser money doesn't belong to me, who the maaser money belongs to? It belongs, al pi strict halacha, either to omalei Torah, those that learn Torah and they don't have enough money. That is where the main purpose of a maaser should go to. That's how the Chafetz Chaim brings down. And if not, at least to those that are poor. And if not, then there's a big discussion if you can give it to mitzvah causes. And the Shach and the Taz bring down such a thing that in their time you could have bought Sfarim with your maaser money, and with those Sfarim you would write on it that it was bought with maaser money, so you never be able to claim it, and if within time it goes to your children, they also can't claim it. Rather, they all know that it belongs to the maaser, which means it belongs to the public, and you have to give those books and lend them to people. So be'etzem you just a gizbar over those books, which means you're holding it, you're taking care of it, but you're renting it out. Just like you have a library. It just stays by you, but you're renting it out. Today, by the way, Rav Elyashiv says that you can't do that anymore, because that was a good idea when people didn't have Sfarim. So they had to lend Sfarim from a person that you have a certain Gemara. Oh, wonderful, I wanted to learn that Gemara. Can I have that Gemara? And you give it to him. Today, there's no such thing. You don't lend Sfarim. Everybody has. You need a Gemara, you need a certain Sefer, you go to the bookstore and you get it. You don't call your friend, can I lend that Sefer? Almost unheard of. So, therefore, because of that, could be the whole idea that I'm talking about doesn't exist anymore. But still, we can learn from here that mitzvot are allowed to be done with maaser money. Okay? So, those are the different things you could do with the maaser money. So, one thing you can't do is put that money in the Chinese auction, buy a ticket, and hope you get the prize in that Chinese auction. Okay? So that is the discussion we have today. And we'll see that there's different approaches. It's very, very interesting sugya, because we'll see there's different approaches how to learn that sugya. So first of all...
Is yeshiva allowed to invest money with the government money?
So the Gemara says It's a Gemara in Ktuvot. The Gemara says in Ktuvot that you're not allowed to invest maaser money that belongs to the, not maaser, money that belongs to the poor people. It's a Gemara in Ktuvot Kufvav Amud Bet. The Gemara says over there, it's actually a Mishnah that in Shkalim, that Mishnah says, En mistakrim lo b'shel ekdesh velo b'shel aniyim. You can't make profit by aniyim money. So you have over here money in the pushka, and it belongs to the aniyim, or it belongs to the hekdesh, it belongs to the shul, or in that time in the Bet HaMikdash. So you can't in any way take that money and invest it, because maybe the money will be needed for those aniyim. So if a poor person comes and he doesn't have what to eat, you tell him, listen, I invested all the money. The Gemara in Ktuvot Kuf Vav Amud Bet says, B'shel aniyim my time alo. Why you can't invest that money? Dilma mitram el aniyim veleika lemitvalau. Maybe you're not going to have enough to give them, or you're not going to have it all to give them when they come claiming that money. And this is halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. The Rama brings this down in Ilchot Tzedaka, in Siman Resh Nun Tet, that it says over there that you can't. But that is all true when the money belongs to the poor people. But if it belongs to the shul, or it belongs to you, and you didn't give it yet to whatever cause you want to give it to, then there's a discussion over here that we're going to see. So when we start off with that, we need to take a look at those that are machmir first of all. Let's see the Shevet HaLevi. Shevet HaLevi says that Mishnah in Shkalim and that Gemara that I just told you in Ktuvot comes to teach you actually something that is a leniency in a way. Why? Because over here, that money that you want to give to the poor people is not that maaser money, and therefore when you come to the auction, let's say, you put that money away and you're gaining a prize. The prize that you're gaining, that's not the money that we're talking about that you're not allowed to take for yourself and invest, right? Which means like this. Let's explain it better. We just explained that whenever you have money that belongs to the poor people, it's tzedakah money, you can't in any way invest it. Mm-hmm. Why? Maybe the poor people would need it. When we're talking about our case of going to a Chinese auction, you put all that money away. You gave it away. Here, I want to buy 10 tickets. Here's all the money. So therefore, that money is given away already. The question is over winning a prize. From here, you see that that should be okay. This is how the Shevet HaLevi brings down. It's a Shevet HaLevi that permits with that, although there's other tzdadim to be osir, he says, but that should be something that's mutar because of that. Says the Even Israel. The Even Israel is Dayan Israel Fisher, and he brings down that no, that's not going to be allowed in any way. Shevet HaLevi permitted gaining and taking the prize. He says he doesn't understand at all what he says. הדברים אינם מובנים. דעתם הביאור שלצורך עניים אין משתכרים. דהיינו שהרווח יהיה לעניים. Whatever you do has to be with a profit to the poor people. בזהו שהוצרכו לחשוש שהם יתרמו עניים, ולא יהיה לעת עתה מה לתת להם. אבל לקח לעצמו ממון עניים, מן דחר שמי. Over here, the money that belongs to the shul, to the people that do the Chinese auction, actually that's an institution that does the Chinese auction. Let's say it's a yeshiva. So that money belongs to them. Definitely, even if you want to learn from that Gemara and that Mishnah, definitely one is not allowed to claim and take for himself that money, because that money doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the aniyim themselves, or to the institution, to the ekdesh, the shul, right? The shul that does the Chinese auction. Definitely you can't claim that at all. So therefore, the Even Israel is machmir. But let's see how he puts it down, because you have somebody else that seems to be half lenient on some scenario, and that's the Igrot Moshe Feinstein. But Moshe Feinstein says that it depends what kind of Chinese auction you're getting into. What kind of ticket you're buying. You bought a ticket right now. What's the chances winning that ticket? Normally, when you buy a ticket and there's, let's say, 200 people that paid as well, so you have a pretty nice chance to win. It's not so far to win that thing that you put the money for. There's 200 people also that put that money. You have certain hope that you're winning that prize. But let's say you put your money on something that has in not 200 people, 200,000 people. So therefore, the chances over there are so minute, you're not even thinking about it. You're not even checking. You're not calling to find out the number, the winning number, right? It's so far away from you that you're not even checking. So even if you are, it's very far away from you that you think that you might win. Nafka mina, for instance, that you can clearly see, is that you can test and see if you would call that ticket that you have valuable or not by somebody that would come to you and ask you, can I buy that ticket from you? So if you have 200 people that's on the jackpot and they're all trying to get to the winning prize, so if there's 200 people, you would value that ticket in a certain way. You tell them, listen, you want to buy it from me, I'll sell it to you, a certain price to it. There's a certain price to it. But if there's 200,000 people, somebody that wants it, take it. Give me a penny, it's yours. Why? You don't give it any value. You don't think you're going to win the prize at all. So therefore, says Moshe, it depends. You can win a prize and you can claim it at a place that you have not at all any chance in your mind that you're going to win. The chances are so far away from you. You have a certain thought that maybe Efshar, but it's very far from you. So therefore, and that, Moshe finds and says, that you could win the prize. Because that money, what's the logic? The money that you put at the time that they came to collect the money was by you 100% tzedakah. You didn't mean that I'm giving it in order to maybe gaining. We said before that you can't give tzedakah in order to gain monetary gain. One is allowed to benefit from tzedakah, which means what we call tovat hana'ah. When you give tzedakah in a shul, and people give you honor because of that, you put your name, that is called tovat hana'ah. You want to give it to a friend that is poor, and you're going to gain relationship with him, that's tovat hana'ah. That's permitted. The name on the shul is not, in the Sfarim it's brought down, in the Shulchan Aruch it's brought down, not such a positive thing. But today the poskim say that we encourage it because when they see a name, so people get a little bit honor, a lot of honor, it encourages other people also to give tzedakah. Why would you give tzedakah? So really you mean l'shem shamayim, but in the end of the day you have that thing in your heart that maybe you're feeling that you want to get some kavod. That's also inside your heart. You have that feeling in your heart. So therefore, when you give that tzedakah, you give it because, but that is all true to get tovat hana'ah when it is tovat hana'ah. You're gaining something. Over here, when you're trying to get something monetary out of it, that you can't get. Like for instance, for example, let's say you give tzedakah, and you give $100, and they tell you give $100, you get a set of Sfarim, costs $20. So really, in reality, what you should have been doing is deducting those $20 from the thing and paying it back, because you can't gain, that tzedakah doesn't belong to you, that maaser doesn't belong to you. So when you're gaining that price, it's not so pashut to claim it and take it. For instance, I'll give you another example that's very common. When they have sometimes like Luna Parks or all kind of different carnivals or some things like that, and you want to take all your children, they tell you that going into the carnival would cost $20. You have over there all kind of shows, $20 for each kid. You're saying, wonderful, it's a Sunday, I have nothing to do with my kids. All proceedings go to tzedakah. They all go to the yeshiva. They all go to a certain cause. So you're saying to yourself, wonderful, anyway, I don't have anything to do right now. My kids are driving the wives crazy. So therefore, let's take them to carnival. So you have 5 kids, $20 each, here's $100, and I have quiet the whole day. So then you ask the question, but 1 minute. Since it's going to tzedakah, let me use what? Maaser. Can you use maaser for that? Not really, because you're gaining. If you're gaining something, it's not so pashut to use maaser from that. You can't gain from money that doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. So what are you supposed to do? The halakha says something fascinating, very, very genius, very nice. The halakha says like this: whatever you gain from the going into that carnival, you have to deduct from the money of the tzedakah, which means like this. Let's say if there would be a carnival and it wouldn't be for tzedakah, how much would you pay to take your kids to that carnival? That carnival of Tzedakah takes $20 with the shows. But if there wouldn't be right now for Tzedakah, it would be just a regular carnival that they're making, gaining money for those people that run it. So you would say to yourself, listen, $20 I wouldn't pay, but if it would be $15, I would pay. $15 I would pay. So now the calculation is like this. $15 you have to pay out of your pocket because that's what you're gaining by going to that carnival. And $5 extra that you're doing, that you're going there because it goes to tzedakah, you can take out from the maaser. You hear the calculation? Yeah. So therefore, comes out like this. Sometimes a person wants to be very nice, and he has a poor friend, but that poor friend is handy. So you tell him, listen, why don't you paint my house? You need anyway painting in your house. And you call the rabbi, you say, listen, this person is poor, 100% poor. And he's handy and he can paint my house. Can I pay him from maaser? What would be the answer of the rabbi? The answer is, depends. How much you're planning to pay him? You pay, that's it. You're planning to pay him how much? $1,000. Would you take him $1,000 if he would not be poor, if he would be a regular person, he would have parnasah, no problem? Would you pay him $1,000? No. How much would you pay him to come and work for you, to give you that same quality of job? Or let's say somebody just like him right now. He doesn't need tzedakah. Maybe he's a goy. How much would you pay him? For my house, I would pay him $500, not more than $500. But him, I'm paying $1,000 because I'm trying to help him out. So $500 I have to pay for my pocket, and the extra $500 I would have to, or I could give from maaser. That's a calculation. Remember that because it comes up many times. So he says over here, Devin Israel, he says like this. The question was, kana person that bought kartis hagrala mimosad tzedakah bekesef maaser shaya lo, and now he won the prize. Can he claim it? He says that the Grot Moshe says what we explained before, that really depends what the ticket value was. Is it something that you could win or you can't win? If you can't win, or the likelihood of winning is so minute, so small, you really gave it to tzedakah, and therefore since you gave it to tzedakah, whatever you gain afterwards, you could take. Says Rav Israel Fisher in Even Israel, לדעתי הרווח שייך למעשר כספים. He doesn't understand it. He says, well, how could you claim the prize? איך יעשה סחורה בפרתו של חברו? You know this Mishnah in Bab Metzia Lamed Hey, the Mishnah over there says that if I take from you a cow, and that cow I actually was socher. What does it mean socher? Socher parato shel chavero. What does it mean socher? You're renting it. I'm renting from you, Yossi, a cow. Yes. Renting. Now I have a certain obligation to take care of that cow. But if it dies, I don't have to pay for it. If it gets stolen or if it gets lost, I'm obligated, because schirut is the same as shomer sachar, which is a certain level of obligation. Something happens I would have to replace that cow for you. But if it dies, that's called ones. Ones means something that's unexpected. I don't have to pay. What did I do? I took that cow and I gave it now to somebody else. I gave it to Mark. So now I gave him that cow, but I lent it to him. I didn't rent it to him, I lent it to him. Shoel. And you know what happened? The cow died by him. Does he have to pay for the cow? Shoel is chayav be'onasin. So he would have to pay for that cow. Do I have to pay you for the cow? No, I'm not chayav be'onasim. Be'ones, I'm patur. So who gains the money? He has to pay now a cow. A cow costs $500. Who gets the cow? Who gets the $500? I get the cow. I get the $500, and I don't have to give it to you. So you see what happened over here? I got the $500 that really belong to Yossi. Says Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah, כיצד עלה עושה סחורה בפרתו של חברו? How is it possible to make business with somebody else's merchandise? I'm gaining over you $500 where really the cow belongs to Yossi. How is that possible? So says Devin Israel, the same thing. How can I gain from the maaser money where it doesn't even belong to me, as we claimed before? The maaser money doesn't belong to me at all. I can't claim a prize in any possible way. That's what he was.
You win the prize, and then if, let's say you win a jackpot of 10,000, you'll take the money, and then whatever you use, give it back to the charity. What's the problem?
What do you mean? You want to use all the money?
Huh?
You won right now $10,000
You won
for your
$10,000.
$5 ticket?
Yeah.
Now what?
So give you $5.
Give the $5 back.
Give it back.
Oh,
Take it
so
back.
that's called a t'nai. You make a t'nai. Can you make a t'nai like that? You would say, I'm giving right now $5 for the ticket with a condition. If I win the prize, then that $5 are mine. And if I don't win the prize, those $5 are the maaser. Wonderful. So now, if I won the prize, that money is for my money. I don't have to give up the prize. Says of Chaim Kanievsky, you can't make such a thing. It's not correct to make such a t'nai. That's how he
What are you
writes.
supposed to do if you win $10,000 with the $5?
So that's what we're saying.
What do you do?
That's what he says. He says that you can't make those calculations.
You give the
If you give the money from maaser, it's maaser money. You can't make a calculation on it.
The whole thing is the maaser. If you win $10,000, you use $5.
So depends who you ask. Again, over here, if we saw the opinion of the Shevet Alevi says you can claim the prize. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein says it depends what's the likelihood of winning the prize. The Even Israel says you can't at all, and Even Israel is usually a very big lenient. He's not a machmir at all. He's from the poskim, one of the more mekel poskim. And he says over here, this just doesn't make any sense that you could take money that doesn't belong to you, it's money that belongs to maaser. You separate that money to maaser, and you mean to give that from maaser to the Chinese auction, and now that you won, you would say, no, I want to take the prize. That's not your prize. That prize belongs to the place that you would give the maaser to. Or it belongs back to the institution that does the Chinese auction.
I've clearly seen in all of these Chinese auctions, clearly saying you're allowed to use maaser money. So which posek are they depending on? I don't know.
So we saw over here the Shevet Alevi. Shevet Alevi. We saw over here the Shevet Alevi that would permit it. We're going slowly. I want to tell you another thing that it says over here. But before then, let's see what he writes again. Even Israel. He says, "Ma shetan be'igrot Moshe shareshut be'ad hagabayim latet matana leziruz," which means like this: you have a gabay that really wants to give prizes to those that would win. Why? Because that encourages people to give tzedakah. If you do a campaign without encouraging with prizes, so what's the likelihood you're going to get so many people? Very little. But when you give a nice prize, split the pot, double trip to Israel, a whole new set of sfarim, so that encourages people to give. So he says for this tzedakah, for the shul, for the institution, it's a great way of making it. Derives a lot of money. It's a good thing to do. He says over here, "Reshut be'ad hagabayim latet matana leziruz." That's what Moshe writes. So he answers and he says, "Zechora en shayachut lenidon didan." That abiur, normally giving such a incentive. When you give an incentive, when you give such an incentive, more people want to give tzedakah. Just like we explained before, you put your name on top of the shul, it encourages people to give more tzedakah. דהיינו שתורמים נותנים מכספיהם לצדקה, או מתחילים על ידי זה נותני כספי מעשר, which means like this. The idea, he says over here, fascinating, genius, he says, that when is it's mutar? It's mutar when you're actually causing people to open up their pocket. So whenever you give them a prize, they would open up their pocket. Whenever they open up their pocket, that would be a great way to bring in more people that usually wouldn't give tzedakah, or they wouldn't give that money to tzedakah, and now you're gaining that money. But over here, what are we talking about? Over here, we're talking about the same amount of people giving to the tzedakah. Nobody's giving more money right now as is gaining from, because the maaser he would give anyway. The maaser was separated anyway. The question is, who gains the maaser? The question is this institution gaining the maaser, or that institution, or the shul, or the poor people, or the lomdei Torah? But that maaser is going to be given anyway. So you're not encouraging people to give tzedakah. You're just encouraging people to give the tzedakah they would give anyway to you. That you can do. You hear? But Moshe says, what do you mean? Gizbar should do such a thing because it encourages people to give tzedakah. So the Even Israel answers him, no, that is good. That is true when the Gizbar tries to gain people to give tzedakah from those that wouldn't give tzedakah otherwise, so encouraging them to open their pocket. But they're using you can encourage, no problem. You can encourage people. The question is on the individual that wants to give, can he give from maaser? So if and you could give from maaser, the question is, can you claim a prize afterwards? So when the Gizbar offers a prize, and right now that money you're going to give from maaser, you would give that anyway. So you can't claim because he's trying to encourage you the money from maaser. That's what the Moshe writes, which means the money you would give anyway. If you wouldn't give it to that institution, you would give it to another one. Over here, they're offering you something. Can you take that thing because you're gaining money from, you would give, since you would give it anyway, you can't gain anything from it. Just like we said before, you're getting a set of Sfarim, even without a prize, even without doing a lottery. Rather, you give a certain amount of money and they'll give you a certain prize. Can you claim that prize? It's not so simple at all. Says Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein. Listen to his understanding. We're trying to see over here, it's a sugya that you open up this sugya and you see each posek looks at it in a different angle. It's a mitzvah, right? Mitzvah you can buy from maaser, which means we explained before you can buy mitzvot from maaser if you are using those mitzvot to do for others. So you're buying a set of sfarim and you're going to put it in shul. That's fine. You can buy shul sfarim from maaser. Back then, as the Taz and Shach said, you could have taken the maaser and bought sfarim and lend it to others and keep it in your house. But you can't buy a mitzvah for yourself. Let's say you don't have tefillin. You want to buy, so that's a different discussion. We spoke about this in the past. Tuition is a big discussion. But you want to buy now tefillin, you want to buy tzitzit, you want to buy lulav, you want to buy something that's a mitzvah. Can you buy from maaser? The answer is no. Because whatever is davar shebechovah, whatever you're obligated to buy and do, you can't use maaser. Maaser is not your money. And since you would buy anyway that mitzvah, you're obligated to buy the mitzvah, you can't use the maaser money. So what are we saying over here? We're saying that, by the way, Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says a chidush. It's brought down in Sefer Be'or Tzedakah, that whatever you would pay for the mitzvah, let's say for the mitzvah you want to buy tefillin, and you would pay for the tefillin, let's say $1,000. That's what you had in mind to pay for the tefillin. But now, instead of that, you want to use maaser money to buy a more mehudar tefillin. You want to pay, instead of 1,000, 2,000. Can you use the extra 1,000 from maaser? So I would say no, you're using it for yourself. How could you give that money for that belongs to maaser? So he says that you're allowed to use it. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's not davar shebechovah. Davar shebechovah is the premium. It's the mitzvah itself that you wanted to buy for a certain amount of money. The extra, the hidur, is not something that you have to buy, and therefore, because of that, you could use it from maaser. Interesting. Let me tell you how Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein learns this sugya. He says like this: Moshe, we're learning over here, are you allowed to claim a prize from money you gave from maaser in a Chinese auction? So says Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein, it depends how the money came to that institution. If it belongs to the institution, they can't give it to you. It belongs to them. They can't give it to you. Money that belongs to Tzedakah. Now Mark has money from the shul. He can't give you a prize from it. He can't give you a prize from it. So if somebody put the money, you can claim it with that prize. But if somebody gave him, somebody said, you know what, and this is shayach to avot ubanim, the money that people giving him money for that night. Avot ubanim, they have now a sponsor. So therefore, you raffle the tickets and a kid wins something. That prize that he received was received from the person that donated the night. That is fine. But if, let's say, nobody donates, so Mark says, let's take it from the shul pocket. If from the shul pocket, you can't claim that prize. Now we're saying that thing in the Chinese auction or any kind of raffle winning. You put money up and you're trying to gain and take a prize, it depends who's giving you the prize. If the price is given from the institution, says Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein, that's not allowed. They're not allowed to give it to you, and you're not allowed to take it. But if it comes from the person that donated, and he said that is designated to give away at the night of the Chinese auction, of the Avot Ubanim, whatever it is, that would be permitted. This is the way Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein understands the sugya. Yeah, we have questions on that? I'm reading you Tshuvot ve'anakot. Tshuvot ve'anakot is who? That's Rav Steinbuch. He writes like this. He writes in Chelek Gimel, סימן רשפ"ט, קניית כרטיס הגרלה של מוסד צדקה מכסף מעשר והרווחה שלו. That's our question. All the poskim come to that question. It's a very common question. Chinese auction, you're paying from מעשר. לכאורה אם נכנס להגרלה מכסף מעשר ששייך לעניים והרוויחו שייך להם. אבל ראיתי פסק ברבנים באמריקה, some American rabbanim allow it. He says, how could that be? If the money doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the poor people, that maaser, how could you claim a prize? לדבריהם צריך להתנות מעיקר. They say, those are American rabbis, that if you make that condition beforehand, that we said from Rav Chaim Kanievsky that doesn't help, which means you say like this, if I win the $5 from my pocket, and if I lose, the $5 is from the maaser. So those, he says, those American rabbis approve that condition. He says, כאי גבנה שפיר הרווח מגיע לו שנעשה בגדר מלווה ממעשר לעצמו, לעניות דעתי לכאורה נראה שכאי גבנה איסור גמור. He says that it's ממש אסור to make such a thing. שלקח כסף מעשר, you take in money that belongs to מעשר, הוא משתמש בו להנאתו, and you're using it for your benefit, you're trying to gain a prize, באופן שרק הוא יכול להרוויח ולא להפסיד כלל. You can only gain from it, you can't lose. The money anyway you would give away, it's not your money. So you have over here a win-win situation. Anyway, you have to give the maaser, he would go to an institution. Instead of that, you're taking over here a chance to win something. ובינתיים פטור היה לתת מעשר שסמך על הכסף שבהגרלה, ופוטר עצמו בינתיים שלא משכינים אותו על הצדקה. So he goes to this and he says that idea is asur. And what about tovat hanah? We explained before, you hear before we explained that you're allowed to have tovat hanah from tzedakah money. What's tovat hanah? Gain. What are you allowed to gain? Let's say I give the tzedakah to a neighbor that's poor. I'm gaining over here a relationship. I'm gaining somebody that can help me with something. I'm gaining a certain thing. That's called tovat hanah. But he says, but that's not the tovat hanah what we're talking about over here. Why? Because the tovat hanah that the halacha permits you to gain is what? He says, מה שפירש. שיש לו במאות צדקה, טובת הנאה זה שייך לו, תמורת זה נותנים לו זכות בהגרלה, לעניות דעתי דווקא בתרומות ומעשרות או מעשר עני שמחלק, בבית יש לו טובת הנאה. Which means only תרומות מעשרות and מעשר עני. אבל במאות מעשר, that money, that מעשר money, is that תרומה, is that מעשר, it's not תרומות או מעשרות. Which means this is מעשר כספים. It's not something that goes to the poor. Rather, it's מעשר כספים, הגדר שהם שותפים בעסקיו. What he says, interesting understanding, which is, when you have מעשר, the money of the מעשר actually makes you a partner together with the poor person at your business. You have a business, and you have somebody who's a partner with you. Who is it? That poor person that's supposed to get your money. Doesn't have to be somebody specific. But somebody's supposed to get the 10%. He is your partner, 10% of the share of your business. You hear? Rabbi Avraham, Rabbi David, you have a business. You make $1 million. You have also a partner in your business. You say, what do you mean? I have a partner? My wife is the only partner that I have. Kadosh Baruch Hu is your partner. So comes the Rav Steinbuch and says, you have another partner also. Who is it? The poor person that you give maaser, that is your partner. Doesn't have to be, again, somebody specific, but he's your partner in that business. אבל מאוד מעשר הגדר שהם שותפים בעסקיו, that's how he learns it. והתורה זיכתה אותו לחלק. The Torah gave away that money to him. 10%, the Torah forced a partner in your business. So what are you talking about? My business is my thing, it only belongs to me, nobody's allowed. It's my reshut היחיד.
Another one? Two masters or nothing?
One maaser.
You have one master, so why do you have another one?
That's it, maaser. There's no another one.
So it's not the guy, just the master.
Maser, yeah. No, again, it's not somebody specific. But whoever you're going to give it to is actually owns 10% of your, and according to some poskim, the Rambam brings like this, it seems like that from the Shulchan Aruch, he has a share of 20%. 20%, it's a nice heavy-duty amount of your business. והתורה זיכתה אותו לחלק, אבל הטובת הנאה ימכור שייך גם להם.
From your personal money.
Yes, from your personal money, which means he's not partner in your only in your profit.
Yeah. But profit.
No, but if you leave profit,
Profit is what you take out
Yeah.
for your salary.
True, that's another point. We're not learning now in
$10
Chot.
million.
Right.
right. If you're taking
Right.
out only 100,000,
Right, we're not learning now in Chot Maaser. We're learning now that can you gain something from that Maaser? We're saying over here.
Some people, if they have they become partners of some business, they're going to be more rich than an owner.
That's usually what happens over here.
Yeah.
He gets 10% clean, right? And if he gets 10% from you and also from others, so it's definitely better than you. But who's allowed to gain Maaser? By the way, who's allowed to get Maaser or to get Tzedakah? Who's allowed? It used to be in the time of Chazal that whoever didn't have enough for the year, which is 200 shekel throughout the year, kesef, he would not have that amount, he would be able to get tzedakah. Today, says the Shulchan Aruch, that the shiur have changed, and that is somebody that can't pay his expenses, his monthly expenses. He doesn't have a flowing income that he could pay the expenses of the house regularly. That is somebody that's entitled to receive tzedakah.
What about people who come day and night? Or my wife, my husband is sick, this is sick, this is sick.
Right. So that's another question. Are you obligated to give people that go around all the time? There is a concept that's called the way the Gemara says that we have to give hakarat tov to those that are cheating us, because those that are cheating us in Yom Adin, when we come to Shamayim and they'll ask you why you didn't give the poor person that knocked on your door, that came to the shul, you tell them, 1 minute, I heard so many people that cheat other people in tzedakah where they're not poor at all, so that is a certain excuse you can use in Shamayim, and it would be somewhat acceptable. So it would be accepted somehow.
There's a rabbi I heard, I forgot his name, he had a video, he said, today you should not give to any of the mosdot.
Right, that's Rav Ben Zion Mutzafi. Rav Ben Zion Mutzafi says that. Right. Okay.
There's so many groups that you cannot even know who's right, who's wrong, and you end up making a averah by giving ma'asot for somebody who doesn't need it, and this and that, and you're never getting a mitzvah at all.
Let's see the heter of Auction.Buch. Lemaisi says it's allowed to gain a prize from the Maaser. Let's see his understanding. And with that, we'll end. He says like this: you can permit gaining the prize without any tnai. And we saw already that svara that it says over here. והיתר מטעם אחר, והיינו שיש לגבי צדקה רשות לעשות במעות לפי צורך הצדקה, כגון מה שנהוג במוסד מפריש למשולח אחוזים מהכספים שעובד לאסוף למוסד והם שלו, שעל דעת כן תורמים כיוון שזה לטובת המוסד. Which means like this: when we give tzedakah to the institution, we give tzedakah to the shul, we give it al da'at that Mark will take care of it the way he understands. He's not asking us, give money and you tell me what to do with it. We give him the tzedakah and we understand that he's going to be using this honestly, correctly, and he's on all the right places. So part of that is also, if you can use that as an incentive to bring in more money, to generate more money, that's also a good thing. And therefore, he says over here that we saw that svara before, but we're saying over here that this is what you could use to have him bring in more money. So we have over here like this. If we try to summarize who's matir and who's oser, we come out the following way. We have Rav Eliashiv and Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach that says that it's asur to buy from the tzedakah money those tickets that you could gain and win. There are those that are matir. We saw Auction.Buch, we saw the Shevet HaLevi. Can you gain the prize? We said from the Igrot Moshe, it depends what's the likelihood of winning the prize. If it's very small, so then you can claim the prize. We have the poskim over here that we mentioned, like the Even Israel and others, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, that there's no way that you're allowed to gain the prize. And if you want the prize, you have to give it back or not claim it from the institution. You have over here another Perush from Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein, very nice, that he says it depends who donated the prizes. If it came from the institution itself, you can't claim it, it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the institution, you can't take it. But if it was given and donated by somebody or third party, so to speak, that's somebody that doesn't, he gave it for the incentive that people should come and put money for the institution. So that prize is like sitting on the side, and anybody that will come would be able and gain that, have the winning number, would be able to gain it. Questions?
In the end of the day, you have the price. Somebody needs to take it out. You take it on with them. That's the purpose of Chinese auction.
Yes.
So, what do you mean? Why the guy cannot take it with him?
Why can't take the prize?
Yeah.
We said over here a few reasons why can't take the prize.
Halacha l'maaseh.
Halakha l'maaseh, we have over here all different
Tell
gedolim.
me their opinions.
Too many opinions. But we saw over here different.
This would be a death blow to Chinese auctions.
If you follow it.
Well, I think by Chinese auction many times they have people also donating the prizes. So then it's fine, right? You donate a phone. You didn't donate the phone to the institution. You donated the phone for whoever.
All the time it's all done.
Oh, so you see? So according to that, you have no problem at all. Why?
How are they gonna make money if they get, for example, they split the
The pot.
Chinese auction is usually donated.
They get the
Oh, so when the prizes are donated, you have no question.
Exactly.
Why? Because that prize was not donated to the institution; it was donated to whoever would win the prize. So that is fine. That's what Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein says.
Not for the institution, because they know people see the prize, they're gonna give more money for tickets, and that's how they make their money.
That's it.
Of course.
But it's not for the institution. The prize was not given to them. No, the prize was given that you should receive it and generate money for the institution.
The prize
That's
is
it.
incentive.
Yes, that's it.
Incentive.
I am not so sure.
Oh.
100% of Chinese auctions, the prizes in Chinese auctions, I'm not so sure if they were all donated.
Okay, so
It has to be done.
that would be the question.
I said not 100%. That's what I said.
Then you represent-
And if we're not allowed to use the prizes from a Chinese auction, then those English Gemarot gotta go back to Banana.
No,
Because that's where I got it from.